Welcome to the playground where the players play. I'm your host. My name is Eddie Fluellen, and today's guest is none other than Penny Ford. Penny, welcome to the show. All
Hi.
right. Penny is singer, songwriter, producer, solo artist from, hey, what, the last time we saw each other was what, late 1900s?
Probably. I don't even know who was I singing with? Shaka, or was
Let's
I
see.
doing Snap, or what was I
And
doing?
shoot, Snap came a little bit later. Yeah. And I want you to cover all that, but yeah.
Yeah, I don't know who I was. Climax, could have been Barry White. I don't know who I was singing with. Somebody.
And with all those people, with just the people that you mentioned, that just shows as far as like Penny, what Penny's done, the vocal dynamo that she is. I mean, just super talented. And let me just share one quick thing.
Oh.
Of course,
Oh my God.
you remember that a long, long time ago in a galaxy far, far away.
Yes, I
and
do.
and of course we got it like, oh, you
I
look.
know.
Let's get you.
It
Yeah.
was so literal. I mean, they were so like, okay, and you know what? If I hadn't stopped them, they were gonna put some pennies on the cover too. That was
Ooh,
actually
no, they
yeah,
weren't.
they were. That was actually a 1941 Ford Roadster.
I was going to ask you about that car. How did you get that?
Mr. Simmons got that.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
And for those who don't know, that's Lonnie
know.
Simmons. Lonnie Simmons, who's the
That would be
owner,
Lonnie
president,
Simmons,
CEO
yes.
at Total Experience Records.
Absolutely.
And I don't know if we share the same story, but different artists. But it was indeed a total experience.
It was indeed a total experience. I mean, it was such an experience that you really would have to be there to understand the gravity of what we're
Very
saying.
well put. Very well put. You would have had to be there. You're absolutely right. But before we go there, let's go back to your beginning, to your childhood and all that. And there is a question that I'm going to ask you. For those that don't know, like I said, it's been so long since Penny and I have seen each other and all that. But the next time I caught up with Penny, if I can put it that way, she's in Germany. And I'm like, wait a minute, what? When did that happen? So, and that's a good thing for me too, because I'm even learning even with this that, hey, we can reach across the ocean with this. So I'm glad of that. So and we're going to touch on that part. We're going to touch upon that part of the story as well, because you told me as far as like the language and that you don't speak German.
Oh yeah, I don't.
We'll come to that. We're going to come back to that.
All right.
But yeah, let's go back to your beginning, like your young child and all that, and you're singing, right? Your introduction to music. How did that come about? Did the family hear you and say, "Hey, we got something here"?
Well, no, I mean, because my whole family, pretty much, everybody was in the business, and my grandmother raised me in Ohio, in Cincinnati. To be
shout out to Ohio, by the way.
Buckeyes, right? Shout out OH10.
That's right. That's right.
And I was supposed to be a scholar, but there was something in me that had the music thing, and I will have to say, sir, that you were a very big part of that. Now,
oh my!
I mean, before I was even a teenager, dude, I had your posters up everywhere.
Oh my gosh. Thank you.
And the song, just like, just like, everybody knows every single line of those Switch songs, sing it all the way into the fade. So I was doing that. That was a part of it.
And I do have to go back to what you just said. You said you were supposed to be a scholar.
Yes.
For those that don't know Penny is a scholar. She just doesn't have the paper, but she is. So you go, girl.
I mean, I skipped 2 grades. I was a mess. I had ADHD. I was gifted. They didn't know what to do with me. So my grandmother channeled all of that energy, and I was in cheerleading, volleyball, orchestra. I was in ensemble. I was in musical theater troupe, the Glee Club, drum and bugle corps, marching band, anything. I was in everything. African dance, jazz dance, low tap, piano lessons. My grandmother, just because they didn't know what to do with all of this energy, So, I mean, I was actually reading newspapers at 3. And I would never even say that to you if there weren't people alive that could attest to this. And so, you know, when my grandmother started seeing the musical thing rising up in me, she got scared. She really just didn't even want to deal with any more rock and roll, you know. My grandparents, my grandmother, my lineage is from Florida, the Georgia-Florida border.
Okay.
So Tallahassee. So the tightrope that people in my family on that side walked was, you know, you graduate high school, you go to FAMU. You find your husband at college, y'all get a job at Wachovia, you get married, you have your kids, that's what's it, you know. So that I went down this path, this musical path. You know, it's still some people in my family down in Florida that don't understand, you know, what it is I do. You know, yeah, we saw your little television thing, but you should have went to FAMU. You know what I mean? Like,
I love it. It's always that. Yeah, we saw your little thing, and you know, it's okay. But you know, what about a real job?
Right. You didn't work at Wachovia.
Right.
Like, you know.
Right.
You know, I mean, so they, you know, that part. But then the other side of my family, my father had children my mother's age and older. So he was a little older skeezer. But my dad produced most of the first James Brown stuff. He, you know, and he co-wrote Please Come Home for Christmas. And he and my brother discovered Kool and the Gang. And gave Bootsy his first job, the OJs, all those guys came through King Records. Yeah, in Cincinnati. My dad, Gene Red, shout out dads. And so from
you know what, and I'm sorry, and you just said that and you just totally reminded me of the Cincinnati connection. That's right, because all that stuff was happening right there in Cincinnati.
Yeah.
Right.
King Records.
Right.
I mean, I literally, you know, I don't know if this is TMI, but I think I was conceived at King Records. Seriously, though.
Okay.
You know?
Okay.
My mom was a singer. My dad was a record producer. He gave her a deal. They made a record. They made me. That was it.
And the rest, as they say.
Yeah. My grandmother was like, give me that child.
Right.
So, you know, it was all that kind of stuff when I was little. Okay. But basically, I mean, you know, like I always had the musical thing in me, but really where it came out, when I was 10 years old, I went against my grandma, who was devoutly Catholic. I went to Catholic school, went to Catholic church, all that. And I joined a Pentecostal church. I joined a Church of God in Christ.
Okay. And how did that go with the family?
Well, I was not that kind of child where it mattered.
Okay.
You know, I was 10 years old. I made the decision to join a church. You know, I took it upon myself to be old enough to make that decision.
At 10 years old, you go.
Yeah. I mean, and literally it was this Kojic church was, the back of it was across the street from where I grew up. And in the summers, they would open the back door because, you know, it'd be hot up in there and they had to get some air flowing through there. And when they opened that door, the music that was coming up out of there, it just drew me in. Like at first, I wasn't even old enough to cross the street by myself.
Right.
And as soon as I could cross the street, I would get closer and closer. And then I joined, and you know, because I saw it was so many other kids over there and they were doing things, and people were being excited and moved. And I started singing with the children's choir. And I remember I led my first song and that tore that church up.
And again, this is at 10 years old.
Yeah, at 10, maybe 11 by that time.
Right.
And I mean, I was there. The people adopted me. You know, I didn't have any parents or family at that church, but that's where. And I remember tearing that church up and getting the applause and getting the acceptance.
Right.
And that was something I think was a driving factor of me being getting into the music thing, because I was like,
Gotcha.
okay, here, because I was short, you know, I'm a little taller. I was a little tall. Well, no, Prince was 5'3". I'm 5'1.5".
I was gonna say, I
We're right
remember,
there.
and I remember that Penny was an itty bitty thing. It's like, look at that,
Right.
she's so cute.
Chaka too. We're all like itty
And
bitty people.
and you know what's funny, because you were talking about like the energy that you had as a child, and
Yeah,
when I met you, I remember I can see that energy, like it continued on in
really.
adult years. Oh
I'm
yeah, yeah, you
sure
were totally energetic over total experience.
it was you.
Oh, whatever.
It was the guy on the posters in my school. It was the guy from the poster. I'm
Uh-huh.
sure I lost my
Uh-huh.
mind. Probably just fanned out.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. You're
So,
funny. Thank you.
especially back then, you know.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. You're funny. Uh-huh.
Like, oh my God. But
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
but you know, and so I mean I literally kind of started there at church, and then they opened a skating rink
Uh-oh.
not far.
Mm-hmm.
And somebody took me to the skating rink. Okay, I was skating. And that's
What?
when I started getting more familiar with, you know, more familiar with a lot of Black music, because I
Oh,
was going
okay.
to prep
Okay.
schools, and
Mm-hmm.
I was into like sort of England Dan, John Ford Coley, and
Mm.
Seals and Crofts, and Toto, and
Mm-hmm.
Journey, and Kansas, and,
Mm-hmm.
you know,
It's so funny,
Jason Brooks.
and I gotta tell everybody, Penny and I talked about that part a few days
Mhm.
ago, and the artists that you mentioned, I was like huge fans of all of them, and I'm
Yeah,
like, we're going
yeah,
back and forth. Toto, oh, you remember this? And England Dan and John Ford, oh, you remember
exactly.
that song? We're both going back and forth, so that was that. Yeah.
That,
Uh-huh.
my friend, is because we're from Ohio. And you know, I don't care
And
what it is.
I'll take that. You're right.
We
Mm-hmm.
done been around America, but that
Mm-hmm.
is definitely the heartland, and that is very, you know, for the most part, it's a wholesome place. And it
Yeah.
has no choice but to be a wholesome place, because it ain't nothing else to do there but study and become good at what it is you do.
Right. 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 And you
You
remember that
know?
time, like you mentioned, like your age and everything. I remember when we were coming up in Akron. And
Mhm.
we would always talk about that, you know, we were at an age where, you know, where most of the kids were outside playing and all that stuff. We actually cared about the music. Like you mentioned, like at 10 years old, you know, there's something that
Yeah,
struck you about going across the street, and that music got you and all that stuff at 10 years old. And I'm sure you
yeah.
didn't like just take it lightly. I mean, you went in, like you said, you went in and got in, you know.
Yeah, like I said,
So,
I was a different kind of child. You know, by
mm-hmm,
the time I was 12, I went to visit my aunt. I was telling you about this. I went to visit my aunt in Atlanta for the summer.
mm-hmm,
And I, you know, was just exploring around. I was kind of advanced.
mm-hmm,
And I went across, you know, it was in walking distance from where she lived, to Greenbrier Mall. Those Atlanta people, they'll know this
mm-hmm.
mall, because I think it's still there.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
And I got a job at Woolworth at 12 years old. I mean, I filled out the application, aced the test. Back then, there wasn't all this computer stuff
Right,
and
right.
all this stuff. You know, you
And you
pass the
read
test, you
and you
count money.
add, you're hired.
I got that job so that I could buy your record.
Are you
I'm
serious?
telling you, that is how I know I was 12 years old, because that was my record that I bought,
Wow, Penny.
that record, you know.
Wow.
And I will never ever forget that. That's why it's, you know, it's a full circle moment. And we're,
Wow.
you know, it's
Wow.
so exciting. And that was one of the first things that I bought with my little paycheck, you know.
What? Well, with
And
that, I'm done. I'm good.
it's,
We can
but I
we're
got
done now.
fired. I got fired not too long after that. I mean, you know, I got fired because I was 12. So I was gonna do things that 12-year-olds did. You know what I mean? You know what I mean?
You're still 12, right?
Yeah, I'm still 12. I lied
Uh-huh.
and said I was
Uh-huh.
16,
Right.
and I had the intellect,
Uh-huh.
but you know, the 12-year-old
But
just
I'm
came
still 12,
seeking the,
right?
you know, the actions, you know, so whatever. I ended up getting fired, but I did,
Uh-huh.
and my
Uh-huh.
aunt will tell you. As I came back, and then I was like, I got a job. She was like, what?
Uh-huh.
At Woolworth, yeah, I have a
Uh-huh.
job.
Uh-huh.
It was
Wow.
amazing, you know, all that stuff.
Uh-huh.
So, but after skating, somebody found me at, like, the University of Cincinnati used to have this jamboree where they would, you know, it was like a citywide talent thing.
Mm-hmm.
And me and this girl danced in it to Earth, Wind and Fire's Fantasy, just like basic, ballet moves.
Okay.
And I met the daughter of Wilbert Longmire. I'm not sure if you know who he is,
no,
but he's kind of like, he worked a lot with Earl Klug. Earl
wow.
Klug and those guys. He was kind of like a Benson Light.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But he was Benson-ish. You know what I'm saying? And kind of sound like Bobby Caldwell singing.
Oh wow.
But like the real, the real jazz heads down in there, know who he is.
Mm-hmm.
His daughter, I met his daughter, and she took me to like a band rehearsal or a gathering of these band members.
Mm-hmm.
And and I guess I was about 14 by then.
Mm-hmm.
And once I discovered the bands and saw that whole process going on and people, and I was around Midnight Star. So I used to stalk them. They were in Cincinnati as well. I used to stalk them because they used to exercise together every day. They would go jogging, and they'd look up and I'd be jogging right beside them. I just wanted to be close to the music, I would hang out at the radio station, because to me, those were the people, they were the keepers of the music.
Okay.
In my 14-year-old understanding. Well, then this girl, from the going to the band house and stuff, I started going to clubs.
Mm-hmm. Now, how old are we?
14.
14.
14 years old, sitting in a club with a cigarette in one hand and a double cognac in the other, because I had to try to pretend to be grown, and singing Billie Holiday stuff. And
wait, and you said a double cognac? I mean, a single?
Yeah, a double. It had to be a double. That way they wouldn't question, my age. See, everything was, back then, you could get away with stuff like that.
You're absolutely right.
IDs,
You're absolutely right.
All that kind of stuff.
Yep.
And, I started singing in the clubs, and I was winning. Back then they had the gong shows. And they would have, different gong shows. You had ladies' night one night. You had, it was open mic, whatever.
Right.
And I would go in there and win that money. And then I started going to the clubs. I'd be at the club. And so Midnight Star gave me the name Penny Bopper.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Because they would see me, and, they gave me the name Penny Bopper. And now that's shortened to Bop. There are people that still call me Bop.
Call you Bop. Wow. Okay.
Because I was in the clubs. Clearly, I was, but I was singing, I was winning money, and I was, entertaining their crowds at the same time. So they didn't, back then it wasn't like you could lose your license.
Right.
Like it is now. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But having kids up in there, a lot has changed.
Right. Totally.
But, so I started doing that. And then when I was 16, I was just trying to figure out, how am I going to get out of Cincinnati? And I was graduating early. And so I met this band. I had broke down and got a job at some restaurant as like a server. That was like, and 2 days later, because I was begging the Lord, because I'm not cut out for the service industry at all. Just suck at it. And 2 days later, after I got that job, these guys called me, and they had a band, and that was at the beginning of when the band started going to Japan.
Oh yeah,
in 1981. So I went to Japan with this band from Cincinnati, and on the way back, and I didn't even know. Do
you remember that band name, by the way? I'm sorry.
It's called Reach Band.
The Reach Band? Okay.
Led by Roger Green. He's on my Facebook page. He's still around.
Awesome. Okay.
There's still pictures of that. And we were kind of like the first band out of Cincinnati to do this thing. And this was the first time most people hadn't been any farther than Cleveland in the north and Gatlinburg in the south. You know what I'm saying? That's as far away from Cincinnati anybody had been, really.
And for me, it's the same with Akron. You know, if we go to Cleveland, we went somewhere.
Right, exactly.
You know?
The big city.
Right.
It's not that far.
Right.
Well, I understand. It ain't that far, actually. But and you know, like, I wouldn't advise anybody to do this. And I just, there before the grace of God go I, because I didn't realize that in order for me to go, my grandmother had to sign over guardianship of me to one of the guys in the band who just passed away. Rest in peace, Mike Griffey.
Sorry to hear that.
I didn't know that, but on the way back, I told them we were changing planes in LA. And I thought to myself, it was just like a split. I was like, I'm here. If I go back to Cincinnati, I may never make it back here.
Oh, wow.
This is where I'm supposed to be. And, you know, I'm kind of careful with telling this story because it was really crazy. And like I said, I am grateful to be alive. I told the guys that I was going to hang out with my cousins for a couple days in LA. I had a cousin in LA, Marvin Craig, the bass player from Lakeside, but I hadn't talked to him. You know, I just told him, I said, I'll be back in a couple of days, you know. And that was in 1981. When
it's
I
so
made
interesting.
It back to Cincinnati, I had a record deal by then.
And it's so interesting. Back then, the thinking was, you got to do what you got to do, you know, especially in this business, you know.
I was grateful that there were some angels that, you know, kind of looked out for me, because they could have been devils and serial killers and child molesters, anything like that, because I was 16. And, you know, I just started going to Hollywood every day. I would catch the bus because I was staying in Inglewood, and I would catch the bus straight down La Brea to Sunset Boulevard. And at that time, all the companies were on Sunset.
That's right.
And I didn't even know you were supposed to have a picture or a tape or, you know, I just walked in the front door, said I could sing. Who do I talk to?
What?
And I got to the Motown building. And there was this lovely little bar, restaurant, little diner on the first floor called the People Tree.
Oh my gosh. Thank you for reminding me. Oh, I totally do. I forgot the name of it. Oh, man.
The People Tree. I'll never forget the name of it.
Yep.
And I just started going there every day because I was seeing people who actually worked at the record companies and meeting writers and stuff. And I ran into Rodney and Robert Gordy Jr.
Wow.
And made friends with them, and they took me to their Aunt Anna. Who you know, she made me sing in the Motown lobby. She said, my nephews told me you could sing. She said, sing. I said, right here, right now? She said, yeah. And I sang
right there in the lobby.
Right there in the lobby.
Right there in the lobby.
And it was bustling, you know.
I was gonna say, in that lobby it wasn't small. I mean, that was a big lobby. I mean, you had like a walking audience there.
Right, exactly. And I sang Summertime from Porgy and Bess. And so she got me a job at Joe Bett singing demos.
Wow.
And I was up there writing with Al Boyd and those guys, Chuck Gentry, and there was another group that was up there. It was like a duo, two guys. I can't remember at the time. Who else? There's some, no, Howard Huntsberry was up the street. It was a couple people anyway, but they were on Motown. And so I was writing, and but it didn't look like Motown was going to sign me. And they had some weird deal where, you know, if you write the song, if you sing the demo, we'll pay you $35. But if you take the $35, you have to give us your publishing. And you know what? I didn't even know what publishing was.
Right.
You know,
Right.
and I
We're
needed the
all like, okay.
$35.
Uh-huh.
So I
Uh-huh.
mean, it was kind of clear that
How long were you doing that, Penny? How long were you doing the demo?
probably about a year. If I had to think back to the time, so it was 81, and I wandered around. Probably about a year, maybe a year and a half.
And how
Something
was
like
that? How you said you wrote and you sang, but how was that like working in that environment? You know, what was
It
that
was
like?
brilliant because I was around, people, met people like Curtis Shaw, the lawyer,
Mm-hmm.
you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Just people like that were in and out of that building,
Mm-hmm.
Benny
Mm-hmm.
and all
Mm-hmm.
those
Benny
people,
Medina and all them. Mm-hmm.
Carrie, Kennedy,
Mm-hmm.
all, the
Right.
whole group of folks.
Right.
And, it was just clear to me that, it didn't look like they were going to sign me or anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
I was wandering around Hollywood and I went up the street. I saw a bunch of Black people standing outside of a building on the corner of Argyle
Argyle and
and
is that
Yucca.
Gower? Yucca. Okay.
Yucca.
Right.
hmm
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
And I mean, so I, struck up a conversation, hey, what's going on here?
Mm-hmm.
Turns out they were like the Gap Band.
Uh-huh. And for all those that are watching this that were around that time, they remember that corner. Like, I remember driving up and down that corner. And you're right. There was always like these people like standing out in that corner. And what was that?
hmm
Caddy corner to that corner. By the way, that was the home of Total Experience Records, right?
Right.
And
And
caddy corner to
offices were
that.
across the street.
Right, right, right. Yep.
And
Yep.
there was another building across the street that was where the apartment they put me in. But I
heard
mean,
about
not right
mhm,
away. I mean,
mhm,
was hanging out with them.
mhm,
Basically, long story short, I just kept going there every day and
mm.
talking to Bernard Spears. Remember Bernard?
I remember. Mm-hmm,
Right.
mm-hmm,
And I would just sit and talk to him until somebody let me sing. And then somebody told Lonnie and that I could sing and that I played, like 7 instruments or so. I
mm-hmm,
mean, I
mm-hmm,
wasn't prolific at any of them,
mm-hmm,
but I played
mm-hmm,
well enough for a girl and well
mm-hmm.
enough to put an idea down.
Uh-huh, uh-huh, uh-huh.
And this was back when we were recording with 2-inch tape. You know what I mean?
Right.
A guy literally had to come in, cut the tape with a razor blade, put I'm used to singing the
Right.
song from the beginning to the end.
Mhm,
There was
uh-huh,
none of this digital, we'll put
uh-huh.
this here,
Oh
put that
yeah.
there.
Right,
I
right,
don't even
right.
know how to,
Mm-hmm,
I don't
mm-hmm.
even know. I still kind of want to record old school like that. I had to
Right.
fight the last time I was in the studio. You know
What?
what I
Uh-huh,
mean?
uh-huh, uh-huh.
I had to
Yep.
challenge them. Like, let's just make a song. We're gonna make a song with drums and bass only.
Mm-hmm,
They
mm-hmm,
just want to put some tinky, 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 and no, none of that.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
Anyway, that's
mm-hmm.
another story for another
Hey,
day.
yep, yep.
But I still have to fight with people because I'm used to doing this old school. Don't
Mm-hmm.
mess with me while the vibe is up.
Thank you.
And then you're gonna tinker for like 30 minutes.
Right,
And
right.
then I sing the next part. No, I'm gonna
Mm-hmm,
sing the whole song, and then you can tinker all you want with
mm-hmm,
whatever you
mm-hmm,
got.
mm-hmm.
But anyway,
Can we get the
um,
song first? Can we get the song first?
yeah, because I'm ready to go home now.
Right.
While I'm waiting on you to tinker, I done
Right,
had 2
right,
beers.
right,
I
right,
done checked my Facebook, checked my
right.
email. I'm ready to
Mhm,
go home. The thrill
mhm,
is gone. The
uh-huh.
vibe's gone. I done forgot
Right,
what I was gonna say.
uh-huh,
You know what I'm
mhm,
saying?
mhm,
But I I Lonnie, he challenged me. I didn't even realize any of this. I'm
mhm,
16 years old,
mhm,
literally
mhm.
16, 17 years old. And he said, I'm going to give you some studio time. I'm
Just
give
like
you
that.
1 day. Yeah. And he said, I'm going to even send some of the Gap Band guys over there to help you.
Now, this just occurred to me. I got to ask you this. Do you
Mhm.
remember at the time that you were in the studio or the time that he gave you this assignment, Gap Band they were starting to take off then, right? I mean, or
Oh,
were
they
they?
were already huge.
Okay, so they were
This
already there.
was,
I was going to ask, what was the single? What was their hot single at the
what
time? Do you
was,
remember?
um,
Was that Drop the Bomb
this is
by any
like
chance?
Drop the Bomb
Was it
time.
Drop the Bomb? Okay, okay.
Drop the Bomb.
Okay.
I think it was it right at Outstanding?
Okay.
Yeah, it
I'm
was
just asking so
during
people
that
can get a
time.
sense of the time. Right. Right.
Yeah, it was during that time, just
Hmm.
slightly before Outstanding, but
Okay.
they were already, dropped
Hmm.
the bomb and
Hmm.
all that stuff was going on.
Hmm.
And so, I mean, they were already hot. Yarborough and Peoples was out,
Hmm. Hmm.
Don't
And
Stop the Music
Switch
was
was there.
hot.
I remember they were working on
Yeah.
Drop the Bomb when Switch was there. You know.
Uh-huh.
And
Uh-huh.
Lonnie was so excited about this newest single that's coming out by Gap Band. Here, listen to this.
Oh
I'm
my
like,
God.
oh, okay, right.
And he used to come in the studio and go,
You remember that?
pat in the back of his head. I want you to play it like this. And he put his fingers on the keyboard. It's like pling,
Right.
pling, just some old crazy
I'm
stuff.
sorry.
And,
I'm sorry. You're
Kevin
just
and
bringing back
Lois,
some memories. Hmm. Hmm.
Kevin and Lois, they're so funny. And even,
Uh-huh.
the guys from Gap, because they
Hmm.
country. They
Uh-huh.
come from that
Yep.
one little country pocket that's just
Right.
full of comedy.
Right.
And so they started calling him Pinks one day.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
And I was
Hmm.
like, what? Can you figure out why they called him Pinks?
Right. Right.
You're going to crack up. Do you know why they called him Pinks?
No.
You know what it was short for?
What?
The Pink Panther. He looked just like the Pink Panther. You remember
Oh
how he
my
used to
God.
walk?
No.
Yes.
I remember that. Uh-huh. I remember. Yep. Yep. I
And
remember.
so, and I happened to look at him one day and he looked just like the Pink Panther walking.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I think he walked like that. So I think he had some kind of, he used to work on the railroad.
Right.
And he had some kind of accident. That's what made him walk like that.
Mm-hmm.
But
Mm-hmm.
he walked just like the Pink Panther.
Wow. I'm thinking back and now, man, it's coming back. Yep. Yep.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, so much so that skipping ahead, I'll get back to that. Climax, I was working with them. I took over for the lead singer of them.
Mm-hmm.
And they, I remember it was my 21st birthday.
Mm-hmm.
And they gave me a party. All of us got together at the Hard Rock Cafe there at the Beverly Center.
Mm-hmm.
And they bought me the biggest Pink Panther doll. Because
wow.
they used to talk
Wow.
about Dick Griffey. We used to talk about Lonnie. We just had, that was the blues corner over there.
Mm-hmm.
We get together
Mm-hmm.
and be talking about Lonnie and Dick. I think we even wrote a song called Lonnie and Dick one time, me and the girls.
Uh-huh.
It was an old Negro spiritual. And so, and so I'm drinking because it's my 21st birthday. I'd already been drinking anyway.
Mm-hmm.
But
right.
still,
I was just gonna say, you said because it was your 21st birthday.
Right,
okay.
But I was drinking.
Never mind all the other. Right.
It was a birthday celebration.
Uh-huh.
And so I went to the studio. That's why I think they just thought I was just completely insane. Because I didn't even realize what kind of danger I could possibly be in.
Mm-hmm.
I went to the studio with this Pink Panther doll.
Mm-hmm.
And it was huge.
Mm-hmm.
It was like a big Pink Panther.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just sitting there with Lois and them in the lobby, and I'm tipsy. So I'm talking like Lonnie with this doll. Like, see, I want y'all to play. I want y'all to sing it like this. And I was doing that. And I looked up and he was standing right behind me. Yes.
And what was his reaction to that?
Huh?
What was his reaction?
I don't remember.
Okay.
I don't know how I got out of that. I don't even remember what happened next. I remember that happened.
I just saw that. I just pictured that scene. I just picture that scene from Lean on Me with Morgan Freeman. Does she have the juice? Does she got the? Can she do me? Can she do me?
Right.
Does she have the juice? No, Mr. No. So
Man,
anyway,
I don't even know how I got out of that. I didn't think about that. I don't know. But he told me back, before I was signed, He said, I'm gonna send some guys over to help you. Nobody showed up to help me. There was a second engineer guy that was there.
Wow. Mm-hmm.
And I said, do you play anything? He said, I play a little guitar. I was like, go get it, hook it up.
Mm-hmm.
And I did the drum beat, because I had already started. I didn't understand that I was tracking.
Mm-hmm.
I had two of them big old school tape recorders. Remember the ones we used to use in school?
Mm-hmm.
The cassette player.
Right.
And I would play like some pads or something, or keyboard, or even sing, like a bass line or something. And I take that tape out, put it in there, and then I put the harmony, and then I take that tape and put it back over there.
So you're multi-tracking, right?
I was multi-tracking, had no idea what that even was. I just figured out how to.
Same.
So by the time I went in the studio, I knew how to put down some drums on the little newfangled drum machines. I remember it was like the DX7 or something was just coming out around then. That was hot.
Right.
And they had that Moog. That famous Moog. Remember that Moog?
Right. Oh yeah. Yeah.
All the Gap Band and half the keys
all
were
the different
missing.
sounds on it and all that. Oh my God.
Yeah, half the keys were missing because Charlie had threw it up against the wall so many times. That thing probably had been shot and everything.
Yep. They probably invented some sounds for that Moog. Yep. Mm-hmm.
He felt that thing was the lucky Moog. So no matter what happened to it, you just had to play it like it is. And so it was that, and I ended up laying down like 4 or 5 tracks with all the vocals, backgrounds, leads.
Wow.
By the end of the day.
Now let me ask you, that album that I just showed, are those tracks on that album?
No.
Okay.
This is how we got to that. They gave me a deal as a writer.
Oh, okay.
They didn't give me a deal as an artist right away. He was trying to see, because I think he was just entering into that big distribution deal with RCA.
Right, with RCA, right.
So he was trying to figure something out, And so he sent me, I was in the studio writing with people. I wrote some stuff with YMP, and I was writing one day at that studio across the street in the office building. It used to belong to Frankie Valli. Remember that? Yep. And me and Gussie were in there writing one day and drinking beer and flipping. I was flipping through the Bible. And I saw the scripture that said, if my people that are called by my name shall humble themselves and turn from their wicked ways, I will heal the land, right? And I said, that's it. Wicked Ways. So Gussie had this track, and we wrote it, and I was writing, and I sang the demo, and after that, Lonnie was like, I'm signing you as an artist.
There you go. And real quick, just for those, Penny mentioned Gussie. This is Oliver Scott, right?
Yes,
okay.
Oliver Scott.
Great.
Yes.
No, that's okay. And that's what we call him. We call him Gussie.
Right. He wrote
crazy good keyboard player. Crazy good songwriter.
He wrote Keep Running.
Yep. Yearning for Your Love. He co-wrote that one. He was producer on our album, Total Experience. So with him, great person, great keyboardist. I mean, just all around good. I just want to get that in. So yeah.
He's brilliant. It's still a brilliant writer, and he's preaching now. I think he has a church in Waco, Texas.
Okay, I thought it was Houston, but okay.
And
Waco.
He's in Waco. They all. Lonnie was from Tyler, Texas. They all was from that little Texas, Oklahoma pocket. So it was just crazy.
And that's right. You mentioned Oklahoma. That's where Gap is from, right?
Yeah, they are from Oklahoma City, and I like to say it, especially because it is Black History Month. A lot of people don't understand what GAP stands for.
Thank you.
It stands for Greenwood, Archer, and Pine.
Okay.
And that is the corner the corner that was Black Wall Street. That was burned down. Right. When you talk about the Tulsa riots and the Tulsa and Black Wall
I know
Street,
all that, but I didn't know that was a corner.
That's the corner, Greenwood, Archer, and Pine.
Okay.
So a lot of people didn't know that.
Thank you.
But
Thank you.
that is your Black History moment.
There you go. And I hope you wrote that down because you will be tested on that.
Right. There will be a quiz. Yeah, but
so let me ask you now that you've got like by then you've got like 2 albums out with Total Experience, right?
No.
Okay.
I started. By this point, they just signed me as an artist.
Okay.
And I was not 18, put it like that.
Okay.
But I signed the deal before I was 18. I'm not aware of legal and laws.
Right. We're musicians. That's what we do. We don't leave all that other stuff to somebody else.
I made up a name, and I didn't even realize that was probably quite wise of a thing for me to have done. And that's why on that record, my name is spelled Pennye.
Thank you for mentioning that. And let me see if I can get that. There it is.
And that is the same reason why Prince started calling himself Symbol and Rose Slade. Because Prince is his birth name. Prince is his name. So when he signed with Warner Brothers, they literally own your name.
His name, right.
And likeness. So that's what he was fighting for all those years. And the Symbol thing was just like, okay, you want to give me my name that my mama gave me? Call me this. It was like almost a challenge.
Right.
And they just went with it. They figured it out.
It's kind of funny though too, because at the time that was the nature of the business. I mean, when they got your name, they thought they had you. And in some cases they did.
We didn't know things like that. We didn't know what words like in perpetuity was. We didn't know what that meant. We know now.
Right. Right. And what a hard lesson it was to learn.
Well, I didn't know. I was just excited to be signing my deal.
We all were
working on my record.
Right.
I'm not even thinking, but they were. So the day that I turned 18, I was called and I was just finishing up the album. We're finishing up the artwork, have my liner notes, thank my mama and them and Pookie and Nene and them, and Forrest Hamilton, you remember him, called me into his office and said, and by the way, Forrest Hamilton used to manage Greg Mathis.
Oh, why do I know that name?
Back in the day, Judge Mathis.
Okay.
Yeah.
He managed him?
Yeah. And that's how me and Greg, we had our famous friends, you know what I mean?
Listen, you call him Greg. You Greg.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Judge Mathis.
Right. You see, I didn't know. I'm like, why do I know that name? Yeah. Judge Mathis. Oh, Judge Mathis, right. His first name is Judge, Penny. Come on now.
Right. Because Forrest was a behind the scenes kind of guy. So in order to know him, you had to be in the business, you know what I mean, and whatever.
Totally.
But so that's Forrest Hamilton, son of Chico Hamilton, the drummer.
Yes. When I found that out, I'm like, you got to be kidding me. And brother of. And the brother of. I thought we were going to mention that.
Wait. Was Bernie? I thought Bernie was his uncle. Who was his brother?
What? I think you're right. I think you're right. I thought they were brothers.
Bernie was the brother of Chico, I think.
Okay. I thought he and Forrest were brothers.
Hamilton played the police chief on one of my favorite TV shows from that time.
Same here.
Starsky and Hutch. Were you
Captain
Starsky
Dobie.
and Hutch person?
Oh yeah. Captain Dobie.
I can't believe how crazy this world is because I was a fan of yours and Starsky and Hutch at the same time. Look. Wait, I have to tell you this while it's on my mind because it gets scattered. Now I'll get back to where we were.
Okay.
My little brother, Terry, his father is Jewish. He has a different father. So of course he light skinned, curly hair, basically that whole, he had the whole Bobby DeBarge curly hair.
I was going to say the DeBarge thing, huh?
Oh yeah. It had all that. It had that DeBarge thing going on. I took his hair one time, and I just thought about this. You know, I have to call my brother often and apologize for things that I did to him when we were little. Because I took his hair, his naturally curly hair, and I pressed it and put it in rollers so it would look like yours.
So it would look like ours.
What? Like, no, like yours instead of Bobby's.
Like mine?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
You know that. You know how your hair was on that
album?
Yeah, you know what I mean? You know how we used to do it? Yeah. You curl it and then comb it back and push it up.
It back.
Remember that?
Yes, I remember.
I actually, and I probably ruined his hair at that time. I pressed it. I did all that. Be still. Pressed it with the hot comb in his hair.
Oh my God.
And then rolled it up. You know what I mean? Put the net on there, sprayed that. That's so funny. And
so your brother's gonna be, so that's the guy. He's gonna be gunning for me now.
He just had all this. No. No, he knows who you guys
You ruined my life. You ruined my life. No.
I probably traumatized him a little bit at that point.
See?
Yeah, his hair grew back. He had good hair.
And did you tell him that? Don't worry, it'll grow back.
Probably. I don't know. I probably told him it looked good. You look like Switch. You look like, now look. I probably had my little brother looking like a pimp or something. He was about 7 or 8 years old. I'm like, still pressing his hair out and stuff. This is ridiculous. And I'm gonna call him tonight and apologize again for that.
There you go. Let me ask you, because I don't want to, as far as time and all that. Let me ask you. Now we're going to fast forward.
I'm sorry. Okay, yeah.
No. That's okay. We're going to fast forward to now. Now I did mention 2 albums. That second album was that was a different record company.
Well, no, I started on the second album with Total Experience, but we had the trauma going on with no money and people running around the block and all that trauma.
Yeah.
So I walked around the corner.
The Total Experience.
Yeah. I walked around the corner and somehow I made friends with I went around the corner to Solar, because remember it was a triangle. It was Motown up here, Total Experience here, Solar over there. It was like some wicked triangle of black record companies.
Yep. And you say a wicked triangle.
That's what I called it. But somehow, I don't know what it was. I think me and Lorena were working together. Somehow I ended up taking her place when she got married to Will Shelby. She got pregnant with her daughter Star, and
that's Lakeside Will Shelby, right?
Lakeside Will Shelby.
Okay.
And they got married at Yamashiro. Remember Yamashiro up there?
Oh my gosh, yes.
Right.
Man,
I used to want to get married there because of that. I'm getting married at Yamashiro. At any rate, and so I started while I was still signed to Lonnie. I went around the corner and started working for the other record company, and I went on the road with Climax because they were paying me.
Go figure. They were paying me. Go figure.
Yeah, they were paying me until they got all wickety wackety and jealous of each other and infighting, and that's how Cheryl Cooley got in and got the rights. But that's another story for another day. But so I did that until they fell apart, and then I quit the business. That was one of the times I quit the business. I went home. Wait, no. What did I do? No. I'm still messing around with Lonnie and them because I'm still signed to them. They're trying to scare me, like, you'll never work in this town again, or, the boogeyman's going to show up at your house. They were whatever.
Yeah.
I wasn't scared of any of it. I didn't realize how dangerous these people could be. I didn't care, because to me, if you take away my ability to be able to do this music, you may as well kill me. I'm gonna cuss you out on the way down. I'm gonna tell you about yourself. So but what happened then? Oh, I had to get a job because Lonnie wasn't paying us. So I was the receptionist for Ron Sweeney,
Mm-hmm.
who was Clarence Avant's lawyer
Mm-hmm.
to this day.
The Godfather. Still.
Yeah, still. And he's
Wow.
in that
Okay.
movie,
The Godfather.
the Black
What is it?
Godfather.
The Black Godfather. That's what it was.
Right, on Netflix.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway,
Now you knew Clarence then?
no, I had met him just
Okay.
through some people at Motown, but I didn't know him, and I don't know if he knew me as a singer. I didn't realize how powerful he was.
Until when? When did you realize he was?
I didn't realize how powerful he was until I saw that movie, The Black Godfather.
Okay, that's why I asked. That's exactly why I asked. It was the same here.
I had no idea he was influencing political decisions. I just thought he was the guy that owned the record company, had SOS Band over there.
But you remember just hearing his name. His name was like all over the place.
Of course.
I remember hearing his name back then, but I didn't know that.
Yeah,
just like you said, that he was that powerful until the movie. I'm like, wait,
yeah,
what?
I mean, he was in the mix.
He was totally.
All these people.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, Ron Sweeney was his lawyer and also the lawyer and manager for Climax at the time.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And people weren't working, so I got a job. Must talk to Ron Sweeney and got a job as a receptionist at his law firm, but I sucked at it. I was so bad. I was horrible.
Okay.
I mean, I could do the work. I just didn't have no focus because I'm a musician here.
Right,
I mean,
right.
That's
all of us.
I'm sitting and listening to my Shaka Khan records.
That's all of us. Yep.
And he called me in his office one day and fired me. No, wait. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. He fired me. My timeline gets a little mixed up.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, he fired me. And I was like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. I need this job. He was like, no, I'm firing you, not just because you suck as a receptionist, but we need you to take over for Mary in SOS Band.
Whoa.
Because she had went solo. So I went on and flew to Atlanta, got on land with them. I traveled with them for like 2 years and did a record with them. It's Time to Move was on one of the Police Academy soundtracks. Still looking for that record. I gotta find it somewhere. It's out there. At any rate, what happened? Oh, and after I did SOS Band, who I love them to this day, but they were almost worse than Gap Band, if you can imagine that.
No.
Almost worse than
Gap Band. Is
that
possible?
That's what I'm saying.
That's
what I'm saying. And somehow or another, I got engaged to a guy from Cincinnati. So, okay, I quit the business. I'm going to get married. I'm going to do his laundry and cook for him. I'm done, And
live a happy domestic life.
Huh?
Live a happy domestic life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm
okay.
Just somebody's wife. That's what I thought. And I moved back to Cincinnati, and I'd be there, and he worked in music as well, but he'd be like, we had a studio in the house, and he'd be in the studio, and there'd be band members, and like I'd come through with a laundry basket, and people would be like, was that Penny Ford I just saw with that laundry basket? And he's like, what?
Right. Look at
anyway, that fell apart, after about a year. And I said, I better go back to work. And, there's a long story in that. But by the time I eventually got back to LA, shortly after that was when I met Shaka, which was the only thing I stayed in LA to do. I didn't think about being an artist or a writer or any of these things. I was in search of Shaka Khan.
What?
I hadn't even thought like I could get a record deal. I mean, that wasn't even in the scope of, I was looking for her. I wanted to sing with her. I wanted to be with her. She was just the end all be all. And I ended up doing that. She's still one of my closest friends to this day.
Wow, really?
And yeah, I traveled with her for a while, and she's the one that sent me over here to Germany to do the snap thing, because they called her.
And notice how Kenny just notice how Penny just went, yeah, to do the snap thing. Let's come back and talk about the snap thing. I mean, I love how you're I did this with Shaka.
Well,
and
it ended up being
and lest we forget Greg Mathis. You remember Greg, right? Yeah, Greg.
Right. Oh yeah.
Judge
Mathis. I forgot.
Right. I'm loving it.
All over the place.
I'm totally loving it. Yeah, but I love that. That so far that's great. Yeah, the snap thing. So let's talk about the snap thing.
Right. Which ended up being life-defining, life-changing. You know, I mean, that was weird because, you know, Shaka and I guess I could say this, you know, I don't know, it's no secret, but Shaka and I moved to London to get off drugs.
Oh, wow.
Because we didn't want to go to rehab, and we're not programmable. We're probably two of the most contrary people, you know, so 12-step program couldn't handle us, you know what I mean? And I mean, I'm not downing that for whoever it works for.
No. But I like the way I love the way you put that.
We're
not programmable. I like the way you put that because that is a thing, you know? Hey, I got to do it this way, you know?
Well, put it this way. You, I, and her, we're all programmers, whether we knew it or not. We're actually programmers.
Thank you.
So.
Thank you. I'm writing this down.
That's right. And we go to the radio station. And who do we talk to at the radio station?
The program.
The program director.
Yep. You're right.
Stay tuned for your next scheduled programs.
Yep.
They're telling you what it is. You know what I mean?
Exactly. So how did that work for you? There you go. So how did that work for you? You go to London to get.
We went to London. We got an apartment. We locked the door.
Really?
We just did not go out. We didn't know nobody. We didn't know
you and Shaka Khan.
Me and Shaka Khan. And about 4 or 5 months after being there, I had signed a publishing deal with Zamba, and they had a division there in London. So I went over there. I said, well, let me start writing. I think the coast is clear. I can go out and start writing. And I even hooked Shaka up with the Warner Brothers writing rooms over there, you know, because she had no idea, you know, that I was like, girl, you are Shaka. Go in there and tell them I need the studio and put this in there.
Really?
You know what I'm saying?
Like that?
She had no idea. And so I had to put that together for her. Like, I just found some guys that I was writing with over there at in Willesden at Zamba, you know, that I was doing demos with, and those guys are brilliant. They ended up now, one of them played with Stevie Winwood, the other does a lot of gigs with Mike McDonald. Wow. You know, they work with a lot of people, but they were some cold cats, you know, from London, some English boys. And I didn't have no money to pay them. We didn't have no budget, but Warner Brothers let us use their studio. And I said, let's come write with Shaka Khan. And they were like, sure.
Right.
You know, sure. You know, I couldn't, you know, I told them I can't pay you, but you know. And so, yeah, we did several songs, and I was doing vocal production on her, which was insane.
Yeah. How did that come about? Did you just fall into that, or I mean, how did that come about?
Well, she trusts me because I, as a child, like you said, we didn't go outside. We had our records. Those were my friends.
Exactly.
So I knew every string line, every horn line, every bass line, every vocal nuance, everything exactly like every one of her songs. She was like, you're a damn Xerox machine. You know, and we later determined that we probably all are somewhere on the autism spectrum, you know, whether low or high.
Very well put. You're right.
Musical types.
Absolutely. Yep. You're right.
And I've just figured out, since I've had a virtual reality headset the Oculus, which I love, that is how I have been doing things my whole life, is by patterns. Even the music, everything fits together. Everything is a pattern, and that's how my brain works.
Right. Okay.
And so, you know, if there's something that I'm interested in, I'm going to learn every single nuance of
Does
it.
that continue
so,
to this day?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm like that all the time. Probably going to go into the virtual reality world later. And I think, I think that you know, on a serious note, I think that they should look into what if they're not, but maybe they are. I don't know. I have a niece who is a PhD in psychiatric medicine, and right now she is focused on immigrant children and the psychological impact that this whole thing, you know, these past few years is having on them. But I think that they should adapt something within the virtual reality space for children on autism, with autism. I think it's an excellent tool. I'm over there. I do certain things with people who are paraplegic, but inside the VR, they can move freely. So it's a really cool kind of thing. It's a whole different perception.
Wow. Now you said you do things with paraplegics?
Yeah, inside the virtual reality. Like they could be anywhere in the world. And they're like, I do this archery game where and the thing that made that the most valuable is over during 2020, you know, the only thing that most people had to depend on was the news, you know, and different countries, different regions give people different information of what they want. So I'm in this archery game where we're shooting orcs and dragons, and it's like you're there, you know, inside of there. And but we're also talking. So I'm on this thing with someone from Spain, there's someone from France over there, and there's someone from England. And we were talking through the whole pandemic, the whole the whole quarantine from beginning to the end. Because I got my virtual reality headset literally a couple months before this whole thing started.
Wow.
And so
they're telling you how things are going in the different countries.
Exactly. How are things going over here in Spain? Well, they said this, and I also was, you know, there were a couple guys from the National Guard on there, you know, and we're shooting orcs, and they're saying we don't know what's happening. We're just waiting on word. I'm sitting right here, waiting on a call. You know what I mean? And that was way back at the beginning. That was before the insurrection and all that kind of stuff. But, you know, there's all kinds of people in there, doctors, lawyers, cops, you know, people come in there to get away from the real world. But it's an injection of perception. It's like, I admonish anybody to try it out, virtual reality. And because it may very well be the way that we have contact in the future, the same way you and I are contacting now. You know, you can go to the movies with your family over there. You're just an avatar. That's the only difference is you're there and you're there with each other. You can go to the movies with each other, you know, you can do a lot of things with each other over there. But I mean, it's an interesting concept. Anyway.
Great. Let me ask you. No, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was just going to say that Shaka and I were over there, and basically what happened was these guys called her from Germany. We don't know how they got the number or how they got in touch or whatever. And they asked her to be involved in a project here in Germany, and if she would be interested. And she said, no, I don't do rap. You go do it.
Oh, okay.
So that's the long and the short of the whole
of the whole snap thing. You just said the snap thing.
It was almost like a cruel joke that God was playing on me, because I did not understand the music. I didn't understand none of it, but I'm from the Kojic church. So you turn the mic on, I'm gonna sing something.
There you go. There you go.
You know what I'm saying?
There you go.
And that's how that stuff came about. Literally, I flew here to Germany. I live right now 10 minutes walking distance from the actual studio that I recorded that in.
Wow. And you've been there ever since?
The actual booth, everything is still there.
Really? And you've been there ever since? You've been in Germany ever since?
Well, no, that was 31 years ago.
Okay. So
then I recorded that record. They said, if anything happens with this record, would you like to be a part of it?
Okay,
and I was
I was
like, no, don't call me. I'm a jazz person. You know, just thinking nothing's gonna happen with this thing, nothing. And at the time, I was working with Soul to Soul. I was in the studio working with them. I was doing some stuff with Mick Jagger. You know, I was doing a whole lot of stuff. And you know, I didn't even notice. And one day I was in London, and at this dude's house, and I saw it on TV. And the new #1 record, Snap, The Power. I'm like, what? And then I looked, they had the video and they had some girl miming my voice.
Right. You're like, wait a minute, that's not me.
I was like, mama, lawyer. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So it was a whole thing. And I was still halfway working with Shaka at that time. And, you know, it was just like being thrown into a hurricane of things,
I'm sure.
You know. But that record was #1 in 9 different countries before me and the rapper ever even met.
It was huge. Let me ask you, like, as far as the process for the Power, do you just go? Did they tell you what to sing, or did you come up with all that on your own? Okay.
I said,
and the song is named after what you said.
I said, give me a pack of cigarettes and a bottle of champagne and turn on the mic. That's how it came. Wasn't nothing written down, wasn't nothing. It came straight from here, like, what, you know. And I mean, it was really stupid how I figured to do them. You know what I mean?
And you just belted that out. You just like,
just sang some shit. I mean, really. And so I said, and then the second track they had already had a Gap band, Oops Upside Your Head. So I was like, okay, well, that'd be easy. I don't know whether they knew I was with Gap band or just, that was Jesus playing another, God playing another cruel joke or what. So I just asked him, I was like, how do you say Opala? I mean, how do you say oops in German? They said Opala. So I just said, you know, everybody say oops upside your head. Say oops upside your head. Somebody say Opala. And then I thought, well, what do rappers say? Here's what I want you to do. I just put your hands in the air and wave them like I just don't care. I mean, seriously. At the end of this song, which was a massive hit, still is over here in Europe. It was the second single. I did that. I didn't even know that Rodney Dangerfield or whoever, not Roger Dangerfield, but what was the other guy? The comedian from Tough Guy from New York, you know, that had to look like Fonzie. He did that Little Miss Muffet sat on the tuffet. What's in the bowl, bitch?
The guy with the cigarette.
Yeah. I didn't even know he had done that. I heard that somewhere.
And I was leather jacket, slick back hair. Yeah, I can't think of his name now. You're right.
I was. It'll come to me in a minute. I was joking, and my mind went back to Total Experience Studios, and what I learned to do back then on a vocal was if I sang something wrong or that I didn't like, I would cuss in the track because I knew they couldn't keep it. You know what I mean? I would have to do it over again. So I'm doing something with this thing, you know, just vibing on this thing. And I did something that I wanted to retake. And so I just started saying, Little Miss Muffet sat on the tuffet, eating her curds and whey. Long came a spider, sat down beside her, and said, "What's in the bowl, bitch? Hey, yeah, what's in the bowl, bitch?" And so I started laughing. I was like, no, I was just joking. Take me back to a certain, and the Germans looked at me with all the seriousness of a freaking Checkpoint Charlie guard. It was like, no, we like this. We will keep this. I'm like, what? My mother is going to hear that. What? And I was so mad. I was like, oh, man. And I was like, but you know what? She probably won't. Nobody will ever hear this. So whatever. I didn't even fight that much.
Right.
And so the third track, I was like, you people must like nursery rhymes. So they put the track on, doom, 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 doom. I started singing, Mary had a little boy, but little did she know that everywhere that Mary went, the little boy was sure to go. And the rapper coming, Mary, a girl at a party, bad face, fancy body. I don't know nothing about this European pop, whatever was going on. I'm just, this stuff is still massive to this day.
And everything just, as far as you go, I mean, it just flows. It's just, okay.
I was just trying to make that little change and get back to London so I can go back to singing jazz stuff. You know what I mean?
And did you do a lot of jazz stuff back then?
Well, I sang with Shaka.
Okay.
So,
okay.
You know, so that was.
But Shaka's not really a jazz artist, though.
Well, there's a whole lot of jazz down in there. I mean,
okay.
if you just listen to the singles,
that's right.
If you just listen to the singles, but if you listen down in there, you get to the jazz.
Right.
She did the whole Echoes of an Era
thing.
And
she does cover it. You're right.
Oh,
you're absolutely right.
And
very well,
I mean, she fancies herself, more of a jazzier. And, I mean, I started, I did, I worked with, I wrote and did a duet with Al Jarreau. I was working with Jerry Hay. I was working with, the only person that I really want to work with before I die that I haven't gotten a chance to work with is Donald Fagen. I want that damn Steely Dan job. And I went up to Cindy Mizell, and who else was singing with her? Carolyn Lionheart, the girls that were singing with Steely Dan. And I was like, if y'all didn't sound so good, I would kill one of y'all to take your job. And that brings me to back to when my Total Experience album was about to be released. Shaka was rehearsing for her. What album was that? No, it wasn't What You're Gonna Do For Me, because I was still in Cincinnati then. It might have been the I Feel For You thing.
Okay.
Right.
And see when I say as far as her, I mean, Shaka, great jazz vocalist, and when I say as far as the artist, I mean everything she did was more like the R&B pop thing or whatever. And you're right, she would drop like jazz things in there,
Yeah,
and you're
a lot of jazz stuff. And, for the most part, that's what we listened to. That was those were our people.
Right.
That was our tribe. Right. Of the music thing, like we would have never did what was that group? Oh, what song I hated? Was that one way that did Cutie Pie? Oh, you're the reason. I blame that song for how music started going downhill. I hold that song responsible for so much. You know what I mean? Now I kind of like it, because it's like an old school remind you back. But then I despise that damn song. And but yeah,
was that who was that? Brick? Was it Brick?
No, One Way, I think.
Okay.
I remember.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, she was always, she worked with Miles, and she sings like a horn. That was her thing.
Very
That's what
well
she
put.
always told us singers. Study horn lines, sing horn lines. Find a whole new you in there. Sing the horn lines. Don't even sing the singing part. Sing the horn lines.
Right.
And so, yeah. And
so when are you going to drop your jazz album, Penny?
I don't think I'm going to be doing a jazz album. I would love to. I haven't considered myself actually even a musician over the past 10 years of doing this, festivals everywhere, all over the world.
Mm-hmm.
Because what I do with Snap is not necessarily music. I wouldn't call it music. I'm what I am.
I hear
because
you.
this is what we all do. This is
Mm-hmm.
what we all do. And we think we're doing music,
Mm-hmm.
but somebody else has other plans for that. That's why we're all crazy. What we do is we create tones and vibrations
I was
that
hoping you get
tap
to that.
into the serotonin levels
Mm-hmm.
of humans.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
we're really energy producers.
Mm-hmm.
Or we're advertisers, we're marketers,
You're
and
right.
we're promotions people.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
We may as well be a box of Rice Krispies. You know what I'm saying?
Snap, crackle, and pop.
Yeah, they get better distribution deals than we get.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it started occurring to me because I don't really have to sing with Snap because the world loves those songs so much that they sing them. Like, I know that's how you feel when y'all start singing I Call Your Name. Y'all could just shut up.
Just hold the mic out.
Right, y'all could just be quiet. We don't even, just be quiet. We got this.
Right.
I'd be right in that audience with them. Like, we got this.
Right.
All singing off key and everything. But there is a palpable energy that is created when people do things like that in concert with one another. That is why what we're doing is so valuable. And we don't realize that we're like medicine to people. And I don't know, maybe they do know what they're doing. But if they don't know what they're doing, if they thought about it, they would make us essential. You know?
With that, and that's a very good point too. How do you feel about like the business coming out of, coming out of the COVID crisis? How do you feel about the nature of the business? I mean, do we have a chance of like recovering, or? I mean, obviously it's going to be different.
I think that the world governments, because things that are happening in America are not just happening there. This is a global thing. And they all know something. They're not telling all of us. So everybody's mad with their, and they've used things like this to shut down protests. Because it's funny, people have risen up in China. They shut that down. And people are rising up. They shut all that rising up down.
How about there in Germany?
Here in Germany? What do you mean? Did people rise up? Well, there were tens of thousands of people that gathered, but they here in Frankfurt and Berlin, all over. But here in Germany, more than anything, for the Black Lives Matter thing, they were doing that in solidarity. Because Germany does not have, the police here don't harass people. They don't stop people because they fit the bill. They don't do business like that. They do more preventative, than anything. They make it so you don't want to commit this crime. So we don't have
what a concept, right?
It's a trip. We don't have car break-ins, home invasions, and then like nobody has a gun here. Nobody has a gun. You can't get a gun. I mean, unless you're real German and you're real vetted and you're a hunter.
We say unless you're real German.
Yeah, but let me for real, because if if a whole bunch of Moroccans went over there and filed for gun licenses, they would not get them. So that's how they cut down the gun thing, is they don't get your license to get one. You know what I mean? You can't get no license to get one. And if you get caught with a gun, that's just like a whole nother thing, the Germans, they, you know, they're just like, you know, they're very practical. Like, say, for instance, my bank. When I come to America and I go into a bank, it's complete culture shock for me because everything's plexiglass. Everybody's behind it. There's an armed guard over there. All of this.
You're right.
There's no plexiglass. Well, maybe now there's a little thin piece of plastic because of COVID.
Right.
But when I go to the bank, my banker comes out and hugs me. You know, like he still does that now, even though we ain't been like get caught by the police and all that. So, you know, it's supposed to be social distancing.
Right.
But, you know, they don't have, they just got a desk and they ain't even got, you know, it's just a table. You can see their legs, everything under it, because they don't handle cash. Everything's done by the computer. If you need to withdraw cash, they will punch it in the computer. You go to the machine right there, get up out of there. They'll punch in how much, but they don't handle cash at all. Wow. So they don't really have a, you know, it's a law that we separate our garbage. If you do not, they find paper in the plastic bin, they will not pick up the garbage for your whole building for like 2 months. What? So as the garbage is piling up, everybody's looking at you. Right. you know. Right. And they know my stuff because a White Castle box or something from the military base is gonna pop up out of there. Right. Something American. Right. A Miller beer can, something, you know what I mean? There you go. They know my garbage. You know? There you go. So wow. But yeah, but I mean, let me just say this one fact, and this is speaking to the gun thing. In 2014, all the police in all of Germany only shot 87 bullets. In the whole country. The whole country, all the police, they only shot 87 bullets. I'm writing that now. I was like, we got 10-year-olds that shoot more than that before lunch. Wow. In America. Wow. But a girlfriend of mine pointed out something very interesting about that. Because, you know, like one girl came over here and she was sitting here watching TV and she just started crying. She said, I just realized I haven't heard gunshots. Wow. I haven't heard any gunshots. Like, I just realized I can't even, you know, it just shocked her. But what was it? Somebody came over here. Darn. Oh man. But anyway, they don't, you know, like it's a whole different mode of operation. Wow. It's good though. I like it. Oh, I remember now. I'm sorry. See, I told you, ADHD, that's okay. All that stuff. This one girl that I know, she comes from a Romanian gypsy background. And she said, the problem with the fact that there are no guns here is if something goes down, nobody can protect their families. Oh. She said, shit, at least the Americans can protect their families. I thought that's an interesting thought. That is. You okay. Know, one of those things. Now you could get stabbed, but that's probably one of the Turkish people. You know, we have, you know, like no offense to anyone, but the Turkish are like the Mexicans of Europe. Okay. You know what I'm saying? Okay. It's that kind of thing. Okay. Well, listen, I definitely, you know, we're going to wrap it up, but I wanted to ask you. We can do part 2 now. Hey, we can come back. We can come back for sure. I'd love to have you back for sure. Let me ask you about the language though. Oh. There's a reason why you didn't learn. Am I getting that right? There's a reason you didn't learn German. Yeah. Here's why. Because I was telling Penny when I first came up in elementary school, we were taught German. So I had asked her before this, okay, so am I gonna have to learn German or whatever so we can talk or whatever? And Penny's like, no, you don't have to worry about that, and there's a reason for it. I do not speak good German because, for one thing, I get paid to be an American. They like me American, you know. Okay. They like me Black American. You know? If I
Okay.
can be hood like some of them people they see on YouTube, that's even better. So, you know, I'm like, hey, I can do that. I
Right.
can do that.
I grew
You
up
know,
doing that.
I try to represent our people very well over here in the
Okay.
European country. But when I'm traveling to places like Albania, Bulgaria, Latvia, you know, all over Russia, places that, you know, most Black people would never be.
Mm-hmm.
If I don't speak American English, they think I'm African, and they'll treat you differently because
Really?
to them, African means immigrant and refugee.
Ah,
You understand what I'm saying?
yes.
So they'll send you to somebody like, what are you doing here? You know, they'll send you to somebody's kitchen. But once
What?
you speak American, they go, oh, where
Uh-huh.
are you from? Because, you know,
Uh-huh.
you could be from Canada or somewhere else, but they know
Right.
I'm not from England
Mm-hmm.
because I'm not speaking
Mm-hmm.
British English
Right. Right.
unless I want to,
Right. I was
unless
just
I'm
gonna say
there,
unless you want to. Okay.
right?
And you
Right?
could. Mm-hmm.
Right. Yeah, I can do that. But um
Uh-huh.
but you know, they automatically go, oh, you're American. We're American. And I don't say Ohio because they don't really know Ohio. I mean, I say Ohio sometimes,
Uh-huh.
even
Uh-huh.
though Cincinnati and Frankfurt are sister cities.
How was
Cincinnati is very German, very German.
okay. Okay.
Everybody's German in
Mm-hmm.
Cincinnati. Everybody, that's where the Germans power
Mm-hmm.
right there.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
At any rate, um, um, they you know, they love Starbucks. They
Mm-hmm.
love everything American. Everything is Americanized. They got
Mm-hmm.
their own hip hop over here,
Mm-hmm.
and it
Mm-hmm.
looks and the same as our hip
I was
hop.
gonna ask if
It's
is it
just
the
in
same?
German.
Wow.
Poland, they got their own hip hop community. It all looks just like Jay-Z, Beyonce, all this whole, but
Mm-hmm.
it's just in their language, and it's a whole thing.
And I was just going to ask, as far as language and everything, rhythmically, like lyrically or whatever, are they cognizant? Are they paying attention to rhythms as well, vocally? Does that make sense?
Yeah, in a way. In a
Okay.
way, I mean, it's kind of hard sometimes with the translations,
Right. Okay.
but English is a Germanic language. So many of the words, it's not necessarily as difficult as you would think. Many of the words are the same. Like we say friend, they say Freund, you know.
Okay. Okay.
Um,
Still one syllable.
there's certain, yeah, sometimes they have a whole lot of syllables for something that we make one syllable.
Okay.
But you
Okay.
know, there's different sentiments. Like you don't say something like, you know how we say, take care.
Mm-hmm.
You don't say something like that here because to them, that means watch your back. It's like, be careful. They're like, what you mean by that? You know, they'd be ready to fight. That's confrontational to them. One other important thing is we don't say, see you later, unless you are going to see them later. You know, for us,
so they
we go,
actually
see you
plan on
later.
it.
That might mean later today. That might mean later this week. That might be later in life.
Whenever. Right.
You know what I mean?
Right. But they actually planning. You say see you later. They're planning on seeing you later.
Oh yeah. And they be mad if you don't show up.
What?
Oh wow. You know what I mean? Oh, sticklers for time. Don't be late.
What? Really?
Don't be late.
Another thing is like, what a concept. You mean be on time?
Right. And everything works here. I mean, you know, like if you
want to have everything works.
Most people, well, everything, the concepts work. Like, because most people hang their clothing here, especially in the summer. They hang their clothing online. I ain't hanging nothing. I got a dryer. Okay. Now, if you want to have a dryer, your electric bill might go up expeditiously.
Oh, okay.
Because they're conservationists over here. So they're very heavy into the conservation. So if you want to have, I like my clothes warm and fluffy. You know what I mean?
You got to pay for it.
I have a dryer. So you know, I pay that a little extra. But you know, I mean, it's really, not that bad to get used to. It's great. They got everything. They got Pizza Hut, KFC's on every corner. I've had KFC. I had KFC in Transylvania.
What?
And it looked like the building looked like the Addams Family house, but it was KFC.
What? When you get a chance, you got to send me a picture of that. I got to see that.
Oh yeah, definitely. I think I got it somewhere. I gotta dig it up. It might be on my old hard drive, but
right.
But I'm sure there's one on the doggone internet.
Online. Yeah, I'll find it. I'll look it up.
Transylvanian KFC. They got that on every corner. I went to my store up the street, and usually, I have to go to the Army base to get American stuff. The other day, I found out they're rolling out Miller Genuine Draft over here.
Uh-oh.
So I went to my store, which they wouldn't have it because it wouldn't be an import, and I saw like cases of Miller Genuine Draft.
And did you load up?
I bought 3 or 4 of them because they were the big cans. But I mean, that's.
There you go.
I actually wish it was High Life. You know what I'm saying? My family.
Man, we're going back.
When I go there and I see a Miller High Life, I get so excited.
There you go.
And especially on my father's side, because they're so bourgeois.
Oh yeah.
I make sure I enter the door with 2 White Castle double cheeseburgers and 40 ounce of Miller High Life, just to get the party started right.
Well, listen. I got one more question to ask you in closing.
Yeah, no problem.
As far as like advice that you have to offer, like those people that are up and coming in the business, what would you advise them? And I mean, you see, there's so much that we didn't cover because I mean, you've done a lot like over the years.
The thing is, it's very hard to be absolutely honest with you. It's very hard for me to encourage someone to get into this business. The only time
I understand. I get that. I totally get it.
The only time I ever get the urge to maybe give someone some encouragement to get into the business is if I see parts of myself in them, like I'm gonna do this music or you just kill me. If they don't have that, like just a strong, like, you might well, you can help me or not, but I'm gonna do this. You know what I mean? Otherwise, I almost don't even know how to encourage them. Just the only thing I would say is realize what tribe you're in. Some people are very talented, but not everybody's an entertainer. Not everybody knows how to engage people. And that's what you're doing out there. Some people are very talented and they can sing their butts off, but all they do is stand there with a mic stand and the mic and the stand and they're singing. They may as well be singing in the mirror. They're not engaging with people. You're connecting with these people, and people don't understand that's the real business part of it, is that they need us to program these people to go buy some stuff. We have a lot of power. We make people laugh. We make people cry. We make people procreate. That's powerful. And these corporations, they can't, they can't do that. So they have to get us. You know what I mean? And they have to.
And to your point, like you said, I mean, as far as like, what we do as entertainers or whatever, there are so many like different aspects in this business, and you've done a lot of them. The fact that you were a songwriter, and I mean, that was actually your business for a year, a couple of years or whatever. And
that's how I got to the artist thing.
And again, I mean, like you said, there are some people that aren't singers. Maybe your thing is I'm going to write songs here. If that's your thing, do that. Don't feel that because you write, I have to sing.
Find your tribe. Don't be trying to get in somebody else's tribe.
I love that.
I mean, I worked a lot as a session singer in LA as a young girl, mostly because I could go in and stack 16 tracks of vocals in less than an hour. And have your stuff sound like a choir. And they didn't need to have 5 people and 5 mics.
I don't know very few people that can do that.
I just, but that came from choir. You know, that came from being in church choir. Sometimes you got to sing soprano, sometimes you got to sing tenor. You know what I mean?
Awesome.
And you know, don't ask me what key it's in. You got the middle part. You know, whatever key it starts in, that's what you sing. You know, and that kind of you know, like relentless training.
Right.
From that, which there was no theory, there was no structure. You sing as the spirit leads you. So I grew up like that. And people used to say to me all the time, we're gonna have to pay you by the pound and not by the hour. Because you're never gonna make any money. And I'm like looking at them like, I'm supposed to make money. I'm having so much fun. You're gonna pay me to have this much fun. Wow. You know, and that's how I felt about it back then. So,
and that's what I tell a lot of people. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I'd say the way the thing is structured now, you might as well get started. Don't wait till it's late. You have to get out there. You have to create your own content. You have to find your own fans, and you build your own thing. You are your own record company. Until you start generating some numbers, then they come take over.
There you go.
And if they can't take over, they'll just squash you. That is your musical history lesson. That's all you need to know.
And there it is. And that's where we're going to close this. I mean, that was perfect. That was perfect. Awesome. Penny Ford, thank you so much for being on the playground where the players play. We look forward to getting together again.
We're gonna get together, and I'm gonna mark this off my bucket list. I'm gonna put it on the bucket list so I can mark it off the bucket. I'm gonna sing "There'll Never Be" with you.
Ooh, I look forward to that.
I'm probably gonna have a drink too. I'm gonna put my hands up in the air and sing it off key, like the people that be in the audience too. Like,
and I'll join you in the drink part.
Okay.